Hello everyone and welcome to Old Timey Comics, where we head back into the past of superhero comics to check out all the good, the bad, and the absolutely ridiculous. All alterations to the panel's text and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Today we're going to go back to January of 1962 to check out Tales to Astonish number 27, which unlike past episodes isn't the first appearance of a superhero per se, but it is the first appearance of Dr. Henry Hank Pym, who will eventually become the hero Ant-Man. So let's jump right in. Just a quick note on the cover. Am I the only one that finds it creepy that all the ants are drawn with extra long front legs that almost resemble arms and hairs set up like fingers? Slightly anthropomorphized insects just... Ugh. Our very first view in the comic itself is Dr. Pym, complete with a look on his face that screams mad scientist. I mean, considering his eventual future of changing size, talking to ants, constantly shifting hero identities, domestic abuse, and creating genocidal murder bots is not all that surprising, but I digress. Pym's current mad exploit is having succeeded in creating a shrinking formula and reducing a normal-sized chair down to doll size. However, Hank has also developed a growth formula to reverse the effects and thus returns the chair to its original size. We do a rapid flashback to a recent science convention where we see Dr. Pym arguing with his scientific peers whether to stick to practical projects or to pursue, as Hank puts it, projects that appeal to his imagination. Back in the present, Hank moves over to a beaker-filled workbench, muttering in true mad scientist fashion how he'll show them. He'll show them all. Sorry about that. Dr. Pym then invites us all to imagine the possible applications of his new formulas. He gives a couple examples, such as shrinking food down to be cheaper to ship, though that probably has a few extra variables he's not considering. Like the fact that the formulas would have to be cheap enough to warrant being used compared to just having more trucks, or the extra procedures you need for loading and unloading them. He also mentions using them when transporting troops, but again, that depends on the formulas being cheap enough. Or what happens to everyone inside when the full-size plane crashes, especially if the growth formula is lost or spilled in the meanwhile. But anyway, enough fantasizing. Without another thought, Hank decides it's time for human trials, and rather than gathering any assistants or other scientists in case things go wrong, he decides to just test it on himself then and there. The formula works, but it turns out Dr. Pym is shrinking faster than he expected. Dude, you're a scientist. There should be more rigorous prep than this. A, assuming everything shrinks to the same size ratio based on how much formula is used, you should have been able to calculate how small you were going to get. Or B, even if it was different rates for different substances, you could still have put some growth formula in a dish on the floor instead of leaving it out of reach somewhere. Once he finishes shrinking, Hank flies into a panic and goes running out the front door that he apparently left open, where he's eventually chased down by a band of rather angry ants. Needing an escape, Dr. Pym runs into the nearby anthill. Nothing like escaping an animal by running into its home where it'll eventually return to, right? Hank isn't watching where he's going and takes a long fall down the main shaft of the anthill before having his fall broken by a large store of honey. Now, I'm no expert in myrmecology, that's the study of ants, but I'm pretty sure ants don't make and store honey like bees do. After all, most ants are foragers and scavengers. They just find food and bring it back to the anthill. They don't collect nectar from flowers. You know, that thing bees make honey out of. However, before anyone corrects me, there is one exception, the aptly named honey ant. But unlike honey bees, honey ants don't store the honey in their nest. Oh no. They have specialized workers called repletes that store the nectar in their abdomens to then be drained later to feed the colony when food is scarce. Ugh. So yeah, no ant colony honey traps. Another ant stumbles on Hank's predicament, but unlike every ant in the story so far, decides he's going to help Hank out. Hank's soon surrounded by ants again, but sees his salvation in a matchstick the ants had brought down to the nest. Wait, what? Why would the ants bring it down here? I imagine they'd figure out pretty quickly that it's not food, and not only that, but they've apparently stuck it into the ground like a tiki torch with the striking end up. Oh, of all the ridiculous. Dr. Pym throws a rock at the matchstick, and not only does it stay upright, it actually manages to start a fire. Then using some string he found... okay, seriously? Are these ants secretly 1/3 honeybee and 1/3 magpie? Is Dr. Pym just performing genetic experiments on ants in his backyard too? So Hank climbs his way to the top of the hill where he stops by another large worker ant. However, to Hank's advantage, the 1960s American scientist is apparently also a master practitioner of judo. Sure. Why not? Once he's outside, Hank sees his growth formula teetering on the windowsill. Why in the world did he put it there? He doesn't have somewhere to store those? What would he do if it fell out? What if some of it dripped out and we now have an infestation of gigantic ants on our hands? As he's chased down by the pursuing ants, Hank somehow picks out the ant that helped him out of the honey earlier amongst all of the other identical ants. They team up as he somehow conveys what he needs to it, and up the wall they go, reaching the formula and returning Dr. Pym to his proper size. With that adventure out of the way, Hank decides the formulas are too dangerous for human use and pours the rest down the drain. We leave him as he contemplates his life, deciding to just stick to practical projects from now on. We'll see how long that lasts. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the episode, please like and subscribe to show your support. Have a character or story you'd like to see covered in an episode? Let me know in the comments. If you want to check out any stories for yourself, you can either purchase them digitally or through Marvel Unlimited. Stay tuned for the next episode of Old Timey Comics.